Hello, everyone. It's been a while. I'm Caedo Genesis. I'm joined by my co-host BADCompanySarge.
Hello there.
And this is the PIPCAST 3000, episode 120, with a Caedo that is definitely not 120%. But I had a surgery last month, and now I am actually up and moving and able to sit at my desk and do stuff. So we're starting with the PIPCAST 3000, one of the most low effort, I guess. That seems rude to say that to my own content. The easiest thing to do when it comes to stuff on the channel. So welcome. This is a Fallout Bethesda something oriented podcast every other Sunday, 10 a.m. Pacific. Usually, unless I go on a hiatus because of medical reasons. And we're probably going to talk about more Starfield on our topic. Well, we are. But we got to get through the news first. And I also have no idea what I'm going to use for B-roll, Sarge, because I haven't recorded anything on my desktop for a month. Or close to a month. So I guess I'll cross that bridge when I come to it. Maybe I'll throw up some Final Fantasy Tactics or something I've been playing while I've been in bed. Okay, quick thank you to my patrons, in particular my Wasteland Legends, Sven and Rose, doing that at the beginning because I always forget at the end. Thank you so much. So let's get into first the comment of the cast, then the news, then the topic. All chapter points are down below. Man, I am on the ball. Sarge, would you please read out the comment of the cast that is definitely not a spoiler from the last episode?
Excellent. So, Against All Odds says, "Great podcast episode, guys. Finally got around to listening. I'm currently playing Spider-Man 2 while I listen to the episode. Spider-Man 2 is awesome so far in my opinion, by the way. I don't know how to feel about a new game plus on a Bethesda game like Starfield, because my mind goes to Jedi Fallen Order and Jedi Survivor's New Game Plus, and how there is kind of a waste of time. But I don't know, I hope they did it right. And we'll be talking about that as the topic."
Yeah! Hey, it all comes back. It's all a circle. Yeah. Kind of like Starfield's theme, actually.
Ooh.
So interesting. No spoilers, though. Until we get to the topic. I guess there'll be a little bit of spoilerage, because it's New Game Plus. And it's tied to the main story. So I kind of wanted to... I guess I did want to start with the saddest news in our whole news section is Matthew Perry died last week, I think. He passed away, and it was reported on October 28th, so a little over a week ago now, I think. For those who don't know, largely known as an actor of Friends, but he was also the voice actor who played our frenemy Benny in Fallout New Vegas. Game was rigged from the start. That's him. That's Matthew Perry. So rest in peace. He died at age 54. He had many more years to go, but yeah, had an unfortunate drowning, reportedly, in a jacuzzi. But yeah, it's really unfortunate because he was... I think Matthew Perry got his role because of how much he was geeking out about Fallout 3 in like interviews and stuff like that. Like, he was a true Fallout fan that became somebody who worked, with Fallout developers to bring their story to life. And I think, that's worth mentioning. Rest in peace, Matthew Perry. But we're not quite done talking about voice actors, right, Sarge?
Right. Because we have some positive news now.
Mm-hmm.
Elias Toufexis, who is Adam Jensen from the Deus Ex games, and in Starfield plays Sam Coe, tweeted the other day, "Yeah, it's true. At Sissy Speaks and I were originally the player voices in Starfield. We worked for months. When they decided the player should be voiceless, they gave Sissy and me Andreja and Sam Coe. Games never do this. Once you're out, you're out. Good on Bethesda." And in the replies as well, he's left a couple of extra things. "Also, the player efforts are still mine, so when you're jumping around with Sam, both are making the same noises. So every time you go, and grunt and stuff, that's him.
Yeah.
And also says, I will always work with Bethesda because of this, top tier respect. And yeah, this is a nice, happy bit of news in the voice acting scene, which at the moment is struggling a bit with various things going on. But this is really cool. That well, first off, I think most people didn't want a voice protagonist, and Bethesda obviously, while originally had been working on that, decided to scrap it.
Yeah, weird mid-development decision, at least what it seems like for Starfield, because they already knew that, like, voice Protag was something that a lot of players didn't like about Fallout 4.
Yeah.
Because it's harder to roleplay.
I do wonder when the voice acting work was going on.
Yeah.
Like, how long after that?
From what I hear from, all the developers I talk to, no, obviously, like listening to developers on podcasts and stuff like that, they usually say, the voice acting comes at like the very end of the process. But I think it's kind of unheard of that a actor gets cycled back in like that, which is cool. That's really, really cool. And Elias Toufexis, of all people, should have more work because basically the new Deus Ex series is dead in the water. So that's the only. Oh, and he was also in Death Stranding. He was one of the survivors in one of the bunkers. But I picked up on his voice immediately because he's got a very recognizable voice.
Yeah. I mean, he fits Sam Coe very well. Definitely.
Oh, for sure. Yeah. He's got that dusty timbre. Is that the right? I don't know.
I'm gonna say yes.
I want to try to think of descriptive words for his voice because it's very sexy.
Yeah, I was just gonna use the word sexy to describe it. That's all it needs.
The easiest way to describe Sam Coe is he's got sexy voice, cowboy hat, descendant of a pioneer, whatever.
Yeah.
Has a kid though, dang it. Anyway, yeah, I think that's really cool.
Yeah.
Something else that people might consider cool. This might be a you topic, Sarge, because I don't play Rockstar games.
I mean, I don't much either, but a buddy of mine was really excited for this.
Good.
On November 8th, so just earlier this week, we got a message from Rockstar Games where they put some other stuff about, like, hey, we've been Rockstar Games for a while, it's been 25 years and stuff. But the thing people are getting really excited about is we are very excited to let you know that in early December, we will release the first trailer for the next Grand Theft Auto.
What?
And boy, this announcement about an announcement has got people hyped up.
Yep.
It feels so weird to announce a trailer that's going to come out.
Yeah, it's... We have experienced what it's like to be in a thirsty fandom.
Yeah.
For any, like, drip of information we can get. But Rockstar fans are something else.
I do worry about the people who are still like in GTA 5 and GTA Online and have that same kind of mentality as the Elder Scrolls players who are stuck in Skyrim and are just waiting for Elder Scrolls 6. Because the Skyrim community scares me a bit these days.
Yeah.
Like, enough of the people who just enjoyed the game have moved on to other stuff, and the ratio of people who are fanatically obsessed just gets higher every time that happens. And I've got to imagine it's the same with Grand Theft Auto.
Yeah. Well, they have Elder Scrolls Castles now, though, right?
Oh, so of course. Yeah, they're all placated and fine.
They're sated for a little while still.
Yeah, at least 10 more years.
Yeah, build like 50,000 castles and you'll be done by the time Elder Scrolls 6 comes out.
Yeah, easy. But yeah, the people I know who really like Grand Theft Auto and stuff like that also have a lot of other games they enjoy. So this was just very much positive, unexpected news for them.
Yeah.
And I think the assumption is it'll be GTA 6, although that's not actually listed here, it's just the next Grand Theft Auto.
Yeah, I bet it's going to backfire hard if it's a spin-off.
Yeah, it's like when they announced the next Fallout game, and it's 76 rather than 5, and people go, that's the wrong number, we hate it immediately.
Yeah, or it's not a 6 Roman numeral anymore, it's the number 6, or just be like, oh god, this is wrong!
Yep.
Yeah.
Man, franchises are so fun. They just build up the worst fan bases.
They sure do.
And all of us
They
who
sure
actually
do,
just enjoy
Sarge.
the stuff have to be quiet because we don't want to be associated with the crazy people.
Yep. Yep. You know, surprisingly, a fan base that I've seen just enjoy stuff is the Remnant 2 community.
That's not a huge franchise, I feel, though. There's only like
It's
a
not-
couple of games.
It's not
I
huge.
feel like that helps.
It's the weird line between action RPG cooperative experience with Souls-like that I can tolerate,
Yeah.
possibly because I have friends to play it with, you know, at a constant, and also how the world builds itself out in Remnant 2. Your playthrough, one of your playthroughs can be different from your friends' playthroughs. Like that's part of its whole gimmick.
Yeah.
It sends you to different worlds and scales it to your character. It's really cool. Yeah, so they are going to put up the Awakened King, which will be the first DLC for Remnant 2 on November 14th, which is pretty freaking soon. It like almost a day after the PIPCAST is published, so if you've been playing Remnant 2 and want a reason to go back, they're introducing the Awakened King, which is related to the Fae storyline. Because like there's a nice amount of actual like lore details in the game too that you don't have to follow this ridiculous trail of breadcrumbs to figure out. Like there's just books sitting out that you can read, thankfully. But they also introduced the Ritualist archetype as the new class reveal per se. I described this to my buddy Nelsar, who I had played the game with, as a Warframe class. Because
I get that.
very much plays like a Warframe class. It's like status ailments and health steal and stuff like that. I'm like, this is just a Warframe. Because that's almost the entire meta in Warframe is like jack up your status and crit and life steal as much as possible, and then you just win.
I mean, I love visually how this character looks.
Oh yeah,
Lots of like signs and sigils and a witch's hat, but the dark kind of leather black coat. It's gives real like arcane bounty hunter sort of vibes to me.
Yeah, and the closest they had to this for this class was probably the Summoner, but obviously the Summoner is just, you know, their main gimmick is minions. So like this is a fun change. I'm wondering, I didn't listen too intently on the effects you can do. Maybe there's party benefits too. Like most classes have some sort of like synergy type of thing that they do with other ones. And there's cross-classing in this game too. Like you can have one archetype with another, so you could mix Ritualist with Summoner if you wanted to.
Okay.
Which is pretty freaking cool. Anyway, Remnant 2, I do recommend it. I hate most Souls-likes, but this one I actually really enjoyed.
Yay.
Just don't hyper-focus on melee like I did in the start, and you'll be great. Because it's meant to be a gun and melee kind of game.
Yeah.
A lot of the bosses are too far away for you to hit with your sword.
I feel like there's not many melee games out here today. The main one I can think of is God of War.
Yeah, even though he throws the axe.
Oh yeah. Man, even the melee games aren't like always close range anymore.
He's got a good arm, that Kratos. He can chuck things real far. But the God of War devs, Santa Monica Studio, put out a Midgard Mishaps 2, which is a short little clip series of like all the probably the most entertaining glitches that they had during development.
Yeah.
And the first one was absolutely hilarious, obviously from at least I think from God of War 2016. But this one of course is, you know, really freaking entertaining too if you like watching glitch clips, especially from the developers themselves, things that would usually just not reach the player's eyes at all.
Yeah.
I think it's just a good move that developers should do, showing that, you know, they do take the game, making the game as polished as possible seriously, but there's also really hilarious stuff that happens in between. Also, things that happen in between 5 and 10 years. This is the 5-year anniversary, maybe. I should have said 1 in 10 years.
Yeah, that was we were so good on the last 2 transitions.
I know.
And then I'm not sure what
and I'm also kind of
this
slamming through these too.
Yeah. Fallout 76 has turned 5. That's the news story we're on now.
Yeah, pretty much.
And yeah, that's doing like a little birthday challenge event, which both of us have seen. Stilltown Eric has been doing. I think he's already completed it. Actually, said it was quite short.
Yeah, it was, the normal stuff we're used to, like complete some challenges. And they're not even really challenges. They're just like build a couple of decorations at your camp. Ferment some alcohol. That would probably take the longest, actually. You got to start the fermenting alcohol and then do all the other ones and come back and the alcohol's done. Like that would be pretty much it, I think.
Yeah, they're also doing like a bunch of weekend events, like the Treasure Hunter Mole Miners, mutations on public events, script surplus they've got here. It feels like 76 is very much hit its stride, kind of settled into place.
They're just doing repeated annual events now.
Yeah,
is what it seems like.
Just kind of go along as they are. And I actually decided to bring up like Steam charts. Obviously doesn't give a super accurate player count because most people aren't playing on Steam these days. I feel like it's on Game Pass, it's on console, all of the other stuff. But I find it is useful for getting a rough idea of if there's like dips or peaks in player counts. For quite a while now, for like most of this year, it's been like 10 to 15,000 peak players is pretty normal. And it does seem to have just hit a point where it just gets roughly the same amount of players all the time, and there's clearly a community that just keep on playing it, which is nice to see. I'm glad it's kind of settled into a thing. It feels like it's brought up negatively less online these days. People are just allowed to kind of enjoy it. It's nice.
I've seen the conversation evolve on the r/Fallout as well. Like, usually, people are directed to FO76, which is the 76 subreddit, because that's where all those conversations usually happen. But every once in a while, in the general Fallout subreddit, somebody will post, hey, I'm getting into 76. Anybody have any tips or anything? Or like, is this game worth playing? Is it like that's a common post. But generally, I've seen the attitude to shift more towards at least neutral.
That's good.
To 76. Where, obviously at this point, more and more people have given it a chance after it's gotten so much extra, actual care put into the content of the game and stuff like that. But then, of course, people also mention the end game grind and how kind of boring and repetitive it gets. So
it's definitely not a perfect game, or I don't even know if I call it a great game, but I think 76 is a good game. Yeah.
If you like separated out the like Wastelanders and Brotherhood of Steel stuff, like that in itself is great content in 76. Like I love the story content and NPCs that are in 76. Outside of that though, like the mechanical stuff, the random number generation, numbers go up stuff, I don't know about that. I don't like it much. Because that's all you do at the end.
Caedo and I really aren't a fan of Bethesda's current trend of RNG over unique set stuff. It's not good. Don't like it. Please stop doing it, Bethesda. Why do you keep doing it? Please stop.
Yeah, I'm just getting tired. I'm just getting a little fatigued. But yeah. I think that was worth mentioning. Like if you decide to pop back into 76, you can get a few cool free things with very minimal effort.
And also just if you haven't played the game before because you heard about it at launch, and you have the opportunity to play it now, either through like Game Pass or I don't know how much it sells for these days, but in case it's incredibly cheap, might be worth picking up. It's had 5 years of updates. It's, believe it or not, much better than when it launched.
Yeah, and just for clarification's sake, like they make their money off of the mostly cosmetic microtransactions. There's still some booster bullcrap, but there's no like DLC or expansions. Like those are free updates. So like if you're concerned at all paying extra on top of whatever the game cost is, like that's not a thing.
Yep.
Like if you want to access, the Steel Dawn and Steel Rain and Wastelander stuff, like that's just in the game. So some people still have that assumption that it's like some other MMOs where you have to purchase a DLC to actually access a new area, but that's not the case with 76.
76, despite technically being an MMO, it doesn't feel like an MMO to me.
Mm-hmm.
It's very much just an online survival/RPG light sort of game.
Yeah. Also, see if you can get it on discount somewhere like Fanatical or Humble, because it's $40 on Steam right now.
I feel like there's Bethesda sales a lot as well. So
yeah, there are.
You can probably find it nice and cheap.
There was a Fanatical bundle with I should mention that too. I'm gonna throw that in here too. Fanatical bundle, and it'd be a good segue as well. There was a small Fanatical bundle put out for Bethesda games in particular, but it's kind of a weird one. It's one of the weirdest bundles I've seen. You can get 3 games for $6, 8 games for $9, 7 games for $12.
Okay.
The collection, your options include Morrowind, the Game of the Year edition, Oblivion, Game of the Year edition, Rage, Fallout 2, Quake Arena, Quake 3 Arena, Quake 1, Arx Fatalis, Quake Live, Return to Castle Wolfenstein, Rogue Warrior, Dishonored, Call of Cthulhu, Hunted, The Demon's Forge, Doom, the original Doom, Fallout Tactics, The Elder Scrolls Legend Battlespire, Doom 2, The Elder Scrolls Adventures Redguard, Doom 64, and Wolfenstein 3D.
What? That's very weird.
Isn't it though?
Like,
it doesn't include any of the Bethesda Studios Fallout games.
Yeah, and also having like Fallout and Fallout Tactics, but not having Fallout 2. That in my brain just.
The Fallout 2 was in the first row.
Oh, was it in the first half? Oh, okay.
Mm-hmm.
I was about to say that doesn't click right in my brain, but yeah, that's.
Yeah,
that's
all 3
weird.
of the classic Fallouts are in this collection as well. So
is it maybe based off like before a certain year? But I feel like Dishonored must be like the most recent of those games. Maybe.
Yeah, it's very strange.
Oh.
It's a very strange list. But if you can pick out 3 of those games that you wanted to have in your collection, that's mainly what I would say or suggest is like $6 for 3 games, and if you make them, Morrowind and Oblivion, you're getting more bang for your buck no matter what.
Yeah, and then Rogue Warrior, so you can listen to the rap at the end.
Is that the thing?
Have you not heard of the Rogue Warrior rap?
I haven't.
Oh, but I'm sending you it after the PIPCAST. It's
okay.
Great.
Or you can send it to me either way. Yeah, it's. Yeah. Fanatical. I gotta put it in the. Okay. And finally, while we're talking about Bethesda, Starfield finally got its first proper Steam update. And it's in beta.
Yep.
We got an earlier announcement on Instagram, of all places, from Bethesda saying that this is how they were going to do it. I personally think it's a very smart move to introduce patches via beta with something as messy of a yarn ball as Bethesda's engines tend to be.
Yeah. I've seen
or Bethesda
so
games
many,
tend to be.
I've seen so many like points of conflict around this being announced and this being the thing. Like, I'll say personally, I find it a bit annoying because I don't have Starfield on Steam. I'm on the Xbox launcher.
Yeah.
But I get it. Like, there's some personal annoyance for me, but it makes sense.
Yeah.
So I accept it.
If you're on Game Pass or Xbox or whatever, like you're gonna have to wait a little bit longer, but you'll get the most stable version of this patch.
Yeah.
Which is why it's releasing on beta first, is so they can do that testing and make sure it doesn't break a whole bunch of stuff when they introduce it, because we've also had that, I'm pretty sure, happen in the past.
I mean, I feel like it happens with a lot of games where there'll be an update,
and a lot of games in general.
and
Yeah.
then a week later it'll be like, here's the hotfix to patch the last patch which broke things.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like I see that exact headline somewhere on the internet every single week.
Yep. Yeah. So I think I want to go over the highlights really quick, just real fast. And how to do it. It says if you want to opt in with the Starfield beta update, please follow these instructions. Open your Steam library and navigate to Starfield. Right click on Starfield and select properties. On the new properties pop-up window, select betas. On the beta drop-down, opt into beta. And then wait for the app to download the new patch. That's really all it takes to opt in. It does warn with the beta build that you can't like revert back saves if you start saving in the beta. So like those saves will only work once the patch is live, as well as in the beta itself. So basically you can't go backwards in your saves if you apply for the beta or install the beta. But that's understood by most people, I think. So the update highlights NVIDIA DLSS support. What did I call this? I don't remember what I called this acronym last. It's been way too long.
I have no idea.
Direct loser simple stupid
Cool.
support. Yep. This is just helps with NVIDIA cards get the game performing better on NVIDIA cards. And something I look forward to testing. I haven't booted up the game yet because I just recently was able to sit back at my desk.
Yep. I have been playing the game recently on an NVIDIA card, and it works really well for me, so I'm curious to see if I'll notice a difference.
Yeah, hope so. And also the let them eat feature. By popular request, we've added the ability to ingest food and drink items upon finding them in the environment. You can enjoy those chunks immediately or save them for later. The choice is yours.
I genuinely think this is, despite being kind of the jokey part of the update, this is actually quite big.
Yeah.
Food in Starfield is not that good. Like,
No.
The healing you get from it is pitiful. Like,
It's minimal. Yeah.
it's equal to like getting one bullet shot at you from the weakest weapon in the game, sort of thing, most of the time. So for that reason, it's not very good. Most food items, a few of them have good buffs, like extra resistances, or there's a couple which give it bonus experience, but even that isn't much. So like, there's very few food items you actually want to pick up and carry around with you. But being able to wander about and just have them as healing that's laying out there is kind of nice.
Yep. For sure. So there were also a bunch of fixes and improvements, which I will not really go into. Stealth also got adjusted to be a bit more forgiving.
Yeah.
I don't know what degree that is, but I sure hope it's a little better than it has been.
I mean, I can say that one of my most recent characters was a stealth melee build.
Yeah, it's rough.
And, well, I made it work. Like,
you did?
Yeah, it's definitely quite challenging, and I'm not particularly good at stealth, so I made it a stealth/speed melee. But stealth melee can work at the current point, so any improvement is good for making it a bit more forgiving. But yeah, I think this is a sensible
it's like,
thing.
Like, I don't know. Every time I hear that, I'm like, yeah, it does work under specific conditions.
Yeah,
but for the general like player or the average player,
yeah, it definitely.
A lot of them are probably not going to want to put in that effort, which is understandable because like it really started showing for me when I played the Ryujin quest line, and I'm just like, wow, I am fully stealthed out and I'm still getting caught all the time in the rafters. I'm like, what the frick is going on here?
Did you take off your spacesuit pack and helmet and slow walk?
I slow walked. I didn't take off my spacesuit.
That's the sneaky trick you gotta know, is taking off the spacesuit pack and helmet makes you a lot stealthier.
Wow. So, but where does the game say that?
It doesn't, but it's like
interesting.
It's like in the Elder Scrolls games and stuff where you take off the armor and it makes you stealthier.
That's I mean, if that's a holdover from previous Bethesda games too, that's a I feel like that's a bit of an oversight, especially since, on some worlds you don't get that option.
Oh yeah, like stealth
Unless you just want to die.
Yeah, stealth when you're somewhere where you need your spacesuit and helmet is so much worse.
Yeah, let me take off my armor really quick.
Yeah.
I'm gonna freeze to death, but they won't be able to hear
I've
me
still
die.
done it. I've still done stealth in those, like, completely outside zero oxygen kind of areas.
That's
but
so funny.
It's much harder.
Oh my god.
There's obviously a bunch of fixes we have here as well. One I am excited for is PC fixed an issue where mouse movement could be choppy. That is one that I actually get semi-regularly as well. So that's an actual solid one.
I wonder if that kind of carries over to just general response time for some things. Like, I don't know. I mean, we've dealt with this for a while, since like 76 or even prior. But like, mouse button detection for melee especially is really bad when you like first get your weapon out. Like it takes a few clicks to actually swing your weapon when
I don't
you
have
would
it anywhere
assume
near
it only
that
takes one. But only in that first instance when you like load in the game or whatever. Like after that point it seems to work okay. But
I feel like I don't normally load up games in combat scenarios.
no, I mean just like that session.
Yeah, but why
Like
would I just swing a sword about when I'm not in combat?
No, I mean
No?
session of playing the game, not in that session of combat.
I don't understand what you're saying.
Okay, well, basically what I'm saying is the first time you boot up the game to play for that session,
Yep.
you get your melee weapon out for any reason whatsoever.
Mm-hmm.
I usually have to click multiple times to get my weapon to swing.
I don't. That's why we're not relating to each other here. It just works fine for me.
Yeah, and
Okay.
but I also learned, from Oblivion that there is the animation interrupt that you can do by holding block. So I do that a lot. So it's kind of like my workaround, and also just forcing it to swing when I want it to, because that seems to make it work better. Man, melee needs some tweaking. Anyway,
Melee needs a lot of buffs.
yeah, the patch notes are there if you're interested in learning more about what's going on. If you want to opt into the beta, all the deets are there in the link in the description. And let's switch back to Starfield, not Rogue Warrior, and talk about New Game Plus, whether or not it's worth it, what we think, perhaps, because we both have had or are working on projects related to New Game Plus.
Yeah.
And I don't know, where do we start? Maybe start with how it was implemented, how we feel about how it was implemented.
Yeah. I
also,
think we should
spoiler
start
warning.
with, yes, a spoiler warning. I was going to say, I think we should probably start with. We are going to talk a bit about the end of the game. So if you don't want main quest spoilers, if you don't want to know how the game ends, so to speak, and how New Game Plus works,
or something that you can very easily piece together once you hear certain words,
yeah,
then I'm sorry, we're gonna spoil it.
Yep.
Yeah. How do you feel? How do you feel about how it was put into Starfield as Bethesda's first New Game Plus thing?
There's a bit of dichotomy with my opinion of it, because I think for like the purposes of lore and the general vibe of the game, New Game Plus is really cool. It is factored in well. Like normally New Game Plus is just, hey, you beat the game, now you can do New Game Plus, and it's not like integrated anyway into games most of the time when it is there. But Bethesda fully integrated it and made it like a key element of the game itself. Like it's what it all builds towards. Going to the Unity and going to a new universe. If you haven't clicked away for spoilers already, you're an idiot and you deserve to have that spoiled.
Wow, Sarge!
I'm going strong on it. Hey, we gave them plenty of time. But yeah, going through the Unity and going into this new universe from like essentially at the start of the game, but with there being the chance of things being different, that is so cool. However, the way I play does not work with New Game Plus at all. I make
Yep.
lots of builds, get them into like the 20s or 30s, and then I'm like, that was fun, I'm gonna start a new character.
Check out Sarge's video on this very thing.
Yep, I earlier this week I made Is New Game Plus worth it? And I think that's, once we've both kind of spoken our opinions, it might be worth going over a few of the comments here. So I'll let you give your whole general take on New Game Plus as I look through the comments and see if there's anything.
Oh, comments on your video?
Because
okay.
there were actually some good ones. I was pleasantly impressed with the engagement on that video.
Nice.
Lots of people being smart, which
Smart commenters? Wait a minute.
Yeah, I know. It was weird.
We usually only see that on the PIPCAST, obviously.
Oh, yes, everyone on the PIPCAST is so genius and clever. Mm-hmm.
You're all smart for listening to the topic. Thank you very much. So, my thoughts on New Game Plus is it's cool if it's just the start of what New Game Plus can be. Part of, and I think you brought this up in your video as well, when you decide to pass through Unity and go into the new universe, there is quote unquote a chance that something may be different in relation to Constellation. And those details have eluded me for several playthroughs already because, well, first of all, I used console commands to go through Unity 10 times to get the Venator armor. And so I could get footage of the gear that you get.
Yeah.
I didn't even go to Constellation for those quick runs. So I haven't experienced any of the different alternate Constellation situations yet. And that I consider to be kind of a bad choice. And I think you might have kind of landed on the same thing, is that people could do multiple New Game Pluses and not experience any differences besides being Starborn and having, some, different dialogue because they have knowledge from before.
Yeah, that's been my exact experience, because I've not seen any of the variant universes where things are different. I've only done, maybe 4 or 5 New Game Pluses, and it's generally, a few New Game Plus 2, a New Game Plus 3, and maybe a New Game Plus 4. So, not a lot into there, but I've seen nothing noticeably different other than Starborn dialogue. You are Starborn now, that's it.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, and I've seen other people as well who have talked about not seeing, the variants and stuff, and they've just dealt with the same thing over and over again, and it's not that exciting to just do it without any variation. And I think it's Bethesda once again going, hey, let's throw more RNG in and just give a chance of something good happening.
That's part of Starfield's greater problem that I hope doesn't get expanded too much more, which is all of the procedural systems. There are too many procedural systems versus how many things are, meant to be handcrafted in a one-shot location or thing or item or whatever. It's too broadly covering at this point. So which greatly determines what kind of playthrough a person is going to have too. If I were to guess, some of the people that complain about, Starfield being so incredibly bland is taking a bounty, multiple bounties from the bounty board and being sent to barren worlds or moons, which have very little points of interest that are interesting, nor do they have life outside of, bandit types.
Yeah.
Or settlers if they're lucky. But that if that's a lot of the stuff that you're encountering, yes, your playthrough is going to be pretty freaking bland.
And I think New Game Plus kind of encourages that to a certain degree.
Yeah.
Because there's only 5 factions you can really join.
Something like that. Yeah.
Constellation, Ryujin, Sistef, Crimson Fleet,
with a couple of different
Vanguard
decisions you can make throughout.
Yeah, there's like 5 factions basically for you to go through. Which, even if you just do like one faction a game sort of thing, or like a trip through, that's only half of the New Game Plus is covered.
Yep.
So you're gonna end up doing a lot of just side stuff here and there, and especially if you play normally, so to speak, during each of these new games, you're gonna run out of scripted stuff to do by the end of it. And especially if you play it more like a traditional RPG where you try and do a lot of the stuff in the first go through, by the time you're at New Game 3 or 4, you've only really got the procedural stuff to explore, and that's not too exciting.
Yeah. And the main deciding factor on whether you want to take a step into the Unity and head into New Game Plus is your loss of all of your material possessions too, in the game. Like everything. Your character and your skills and your permanent bonuses from magazines are like the only thing that pass through the Unity. The rest is completely wiped.
Yep.
So
you lose all your inventory.
It's something you also have to decide for yourself, which is part of the reason why I decided to make a video in the first place on like getting yourself geared out quickly. Like that's a big chunk of the video that I'm working on, is because a lot of people are just going to be slamming through New Game Plus after New Game Plus, and they want, an easier way to do that without having to stick to the Starfield armor and also the Starborn Guardian, which is not very good.
No,
it's not the best ship. It's very fast. It can travel to like the most distant of worlds immediately if you want to, but in combat, I don't know. No, probably not.
Not great.
But yeah, that's one of the main deciding factors, and also like, I believe this is something you mentioned too. Is like we have no control over traits, and changing them if we wanted to. So, and especially if you wiped those traits, like all of them in your playthrough, and if you're unhappy with them, like you have no cool extra spice on your character anymore, and it's indefinite for however many New Game Pluses you decide to go through. And that can be a downside too. If you are someone who decides to do different play styles and stuff like that, you could continue leveling up well past 100 or whatever, but you could also just start a new character and take less time probably getting that build the way you want it.
Yes, I had someone comment like about maxing out powers and all of that stuff, that they would be at least level 200, at least level 200, which
in maxing out powers. Good lord.
Which is like, boy, that. Once again, I level my characters
how
like
is that
20
calculated
or 30.
though? I would like to question that though, because if you're just slamming through the main storyline, you'll get probably a couple of forced levels. But if you're mainlining and you just like skip the story, you get that first burst of experience, which might result in a level, and then discovering temples are like a sliver of XP.
I'm guessing
I don't know. I don't know the accuracy of that.
Playing the game kind of normally while also doing it.
Because if you are going through the storyline every single time, then
or even doing side stuff as well. But if you were just going for the powers and the temples, I do wonder what level you'd be at. Like maybe you can get it at under level 50. If you like super go on it, you don't boost XP in any way, you try and not level up sort of thing.
Yeah, because if you play as, meeting up with Constellation and skip the story content and just go for the temples, there's very little in between than just getting artifacts, getting powers, and that's it. Like you can't, in its current state, you can't even turn in survey data to Vladimir in skip main quest mode, which is dumb. No, you can't.
That's crazy. That's literally just like a generic dialogue option with him though.
It sure is. The only dialogue, he has one dialogue option, and it's, have you seen more artifacts or temples, blah blah blah. That's it.
I mean, at least you can sell
skip...
the data elsewhere, I guess, but...
Yes.
That's
yeah,
a bit weird.
But that's a downside, because he also pays the most for survey data.
I mean, it doesn't matter. You're going to lose all that money when you step through Unity anyway.
True. That is true, Sarge.
That always bugs me a bit, how I'll have like hundreds of thousands of credits at the end of a playthrough, and I'll have got, because the loot is random, and there's very few good uniques in the game, I'll have managed to get like a weapon that's really good for my build, and then it's like, well, I don't want to go through the Unity. I don't want to lose this weapon.
I like this thing.
Yeah, this was a 1 in probably a billion chance to get this exact gun with these exact modifiers.
Saw my broken concussive pacifier that I got, like that. Not getting that gun again.
Nope.
It's like, it was so ridiculous. Stupid. It's like almost every shot would knock anybody over. Like, I could not lose with that shotgun. And they were bleeding.
Yeah.
With multiple mods that made sure that kept happening. It's stupid. It was dumb. New Game Plus, you lose your ships, your outposts, all of those things
God,
too.
Losing outposts as well. That's got to be the worst thing. Outposts are a nightmare to build well.
They are.
Like, it's so much time invested into them.
Yeah. And they're annoyingly more complex than setting up an outpost in Fallout 4.
Yeah, I feel like outposts need a rework.
They do, Sarge.
At some point.
They do very much. I agree.
Yeah, because I've played around with outposts a bit myself now. I've built a couple that are okay, but it has been like 5 or 6 hours of resource gathering, basically, for about half an hour of building, which is not great. Yeah. And I'm sure that once you've got used to it and learn how to optimize everything in certain ways, you can do it a lot quicker. But I feel like you basically need a shopping list, like physically wrote down in real life in front of you to know exactly what stuff to get for the exact outpost you're building.
Because even so, like, I it's one of the things I'm covering in my New Game Plus. Like, I'm covering everything to like get yourself set up. Including outposts as well. But I just ended up saying like once you have the credits through my, multiple credits gaining methods, just go to Jemison Mercantile or the distro center, buy up all the resources, and then go somewhere you want to throw down an outpost, because like otherwise you're gonna be spending time literally writing stuff down to figure out what you need on your shopping list, and keep in mind too that you can make all that money back once you have your self-serving outpost on Enderfon, which is the moon me and many others reference to, because it's in the first system that you're in, and it's got iron, helium-3, and aluminum, and you can just make
outpost.
You can make endless adaptive frames, level infinitely. Like, it's got time dilation, so like you wait, a few hours, and then all of your storage is filled up. Like, it does not, it is a very low effort, setup for getting money as well as getting experience. Beyond that, though, like even going further to set up my amp outpost, like my chem creation outpost, like that still takes a lot of extra effort, because all of the resources are not in one place, and some of them are off of plants or creatures, and I'm just like, well, that's many extra steps I have to do to make like a greenhouse and like survey to make sure that I've got the right things here. Like, it's too much extra stuff just to ensure that the run to the Unity again is going to be faster by a little bit.
I mean, when I did like one character who just kind of sprinted through to the Unity, I didn't go out my way to get anything, like literally nothing at all. The first weapon I picked up was just a random maelstrom that dropped, and I was like, yep, I'll use that. Cool, the magazine's empty, my bullets are out, pick up the next weapon, sort of thing. And I didn't worry about any outpost building, any like progression in quests or stuff. I just sprinted through, because I don't want to go through the whole several hours of building up the character to make them good and stuff and get all the equipment I need and make sure I've got things flowing correctly. I'm just like, nah, I'm just going to brute force my way to the end. Because if you're doing multiple New Game Pluses, those universes in between kind of become pointless, and who cares?
Yeah, unless they're new universes that have a new little thing. But again, as we said, those are kind of randomized too. So
yep.
But I feel like it's worth mentioning that what the actual benefits are to running through New Game Plus, because we've kind of sporadically listed them off.
Yeah.
You get Starborn armor up to New Game Plus 10, which changes in stats and appearance. That's one of the main draws for people, because it looks cool. Like, Starborn armor is some of the coolest looking armor in the game.
Looks very cool.
But it is a one piece where it can only have 3 randomized legendary effects, whereas a full suit of regular armor can have 9.
Yeah.
Which you mentioned in your video.
The Starborn thing is spacesuit, helmet, and pack all in one.
Yeah.
I also didn't.
It's a onesie.
I didn't run the exact numbers on what the resistances are like, because I know the Starborn resistances look quite good, but compared to 3 separate pieces all combined together,
no, you get better when like this is like midpoint armor resistances for, and it's also scaled. It's scaled to the armor itself, not to your character level, I believe. So so. Once you get up to Venator armor, which is New Game Plus 10, then you'll kind of have something serviceable for a level 50 to 60 character, which is kind of silly. But it looks cool. Also, also Starborn Guardianship, that goes up to New Game Plus 6. Again, we mentioned the Starborn Guardianship is not great, especially in combat, but it does get around fast. You can't modify it. Its interior is very bland. It's got a chair and 2 storages, and that's pretty much it. 5 crew spots, which is cool, I guess. But like, you're not gonna get much out of the Starborn Guardianship, as opposed to just running the Mantis quest again and getting the the Razor Leaf, because it's so easy to get the Razor Leaf. You can. Another feature is you can skip the story or not. I'm just going down my list on the New Game Plus guide, by the way. You can skip the story or not. There are pivotal choices you can still make adjustments to if you decide to take on the story. For example, when Vladimir asks to go help up in the eye, you can be like, no, I have a bad feeling about this, and everybody can survive. But my game also had a bug where even though everybody survived, they were acting like Andrasia died, and she was standing right next to me.
Man,
and then
I had
Andrasia,
that in Fallout 4 once. It's always fun when NPCs are like, boy, we miss this person, and they're standing right next to you. Like, what's going on here? Why is everyone grieving me?
The funny part was Andrasia was talking about, like, I think Sam died in her mind, and I'm just like, wow, this is really buggy. But I jumped out of that. Or maybe I still have that save. I don't remember. It's been a while since I played Starfield. Because I've been in bed. Again, skip the story or not. If you do skip the story, it's just a main line for artifacts and temples. Like, everything else is pretty much removed from that. If you skip the story 9 times, just to get your powers leveled up, as well as the Starborn armor and the Guardianship, most people probably aren't going to make it to the end, because it's so freaking boring and monotonous to do that.
I brought up the comment on, like, my page here because I had someone on my beginner's guide for Starfield talk about maxing it out New Game Plus like 10 times over, which obviously my reply was like, hey, maybe someone who's watching a beginner's guide isn't thinking about maxing the game 10 times over, is maybe looking for help with beginner's stuff. But they have a line in here which is, it's ridiculous. Yes, your first 30 to 40 hours of the gameplay is to not play the game. Once you complete this process 10 times, you are now free to enjoy the game.
No. Are they stating that as a matter of fact? Because that's not how most people play the game.
That is not. But I will say their comment is terrible. I'm going to send it to you.
again, I don't want to speak for anyone, but if you are intending on the first 40 to 50 hours of the game to not matter, this may, I don't know, you may need to reassess your whole approach to gaming. Because gaming is supposed to be fun, and this sounds like work.
It super is.
Yeah.
But this person is... Clearly, this is the way they want to play. And I was nice to them in my Is New Game Plus Worth It video. I figured, let's not just pick a needless argument here. But, yeah, it seems crazy. It's very much on the extreme side of New Game Plus is great. You just want to go through it all the time, which, I don't get why.
Yeah.
But the only thing I could think of as, like, a real justification for wanting to play like this would be, like, the experience. Like, literally XP.
Yeah.
Because that way you start the final new game you go into at a much higher level.
Mm-hmm.
And I know there's people out there who are in the bigger number is better mindset, which is a mindset I hate myself.
Yeah, and it's fine. But I also recognize that it can be very addicting too. Yeah. Bigger number good. So just to recap one more time, what you get in New Game Plus is sweet Starborn armor that looks cool, but its stats are not great, and also legendary randomized. You get the Guardianship, which is okay at travel, but that's about it. You can skip the story or not. You get a potentially new universe each time you pop through the Unity. Not guaranteed, though. You can level up your powers up to 10 with varying degrees of helpfulness and effectiveness. And your magazine bonuses carry over. I think I just left that in there just because I wanted to say that. Oh, research persists as well. That's something that goes along with you as well.
Oh, that is good.
And unique weapons from at least vendors do scale. Quote, unique weapons do scale. Yeah. So if the acid rain was totally garbage in your first playthrough, which it was for most people, because it's a Grendel that spawns immediately in that dude's inventory, even if you haven't even talked to him or done his quest, it's just set at like 3 base damage because you go to the well really early in the game. But if you go New Game Plus, that Grendel will be slightly better, but it's still a Grendel, and it's probably not going to be very good at all. But it's got a sweet paint job.
Yeah. The other point you missed out on the pros is the Starborn dialogue, which I'd say is probably my personal reason why I'd be tempted to kind of...
Oh, that was under my new universes section. I just didn't get to that section. But yeah, new dialogue options, both in main missions and side missions. Like you can just make funny observations or very meta comments because you know more than the person you're talking to.
You know what's going to happen.
Also, the discussion with Keeper Aquilus has a couple of interesting lines, but you can't ask more about his existence, and it really bugs me. Because you're just like, I know what you turn into, Keeper Aquilus. Why aren't you that right now? And why does the other you want you dead? Please explain. That drives me crazy. Another thing that's very weird, I'm gonna get into fan theory kind of stuff really quick. The speculation, I've been doing a lot of that too since I've been stuck in bed. We rarely, like, there is alternate universes, obviously, we rarely run into ourselves alive in new universes. We are effectively replacing ourselves for whatever reason they hopefully not lazily write off as, what happens. Because, like, that's one of the things that really concerns me is, like, I'm hoping they didn't paint themselves into a corner by not knowing what to do with the already existing versions of ourselves or other characters.
I mean, isn't the default one, the Argus Extractor Miner who got lost on the way or whatever? Because I feel like they say lost.
Could be
rather
that
than
lost,
died in the first
lost or killed, or maybe something else. But like, I don't know. Like, I want there to be more than just that, not just for the main character, but also for like Keeper Aquilus and the Hunter and the Emissary. Like, I would like a little more to them. Like seeing someone turn into the Emissary, like, because that means that you've died a countless amount of times as well as the main character, because that's how the Emissary comes to be, right? I don't know. It feels like I want more information about this, and that's part of what I'm hoping that Shattered Space kind of expands on.
Yeah.
On top of maybe some House Varun stuff, or maybe that'll just be a later, like, because House Varun is so underserviced.
Yeah. Have you done Andrasia's follower thing?
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah, I feel like that's the only part which gives you any real.
It also still feels ridiculously short compared to the other companion stuff that you do. No, there's a few. No, I take that back. I'm misremembering. There's like 3 locations you go to. Yeah. 2 of them, one of them is technically like a unique location. And then the hidden room on the space station where the Varun informant, I guess, is.
Yeah. But
even so, that means there's like 4 Varun NPCs in the whole freaking game. The one in prison, the one in the building that has overgrowth and stuff, and the one in the station and Andrasia.
Yeah.
Excluding the random bandit types.
Yeah,
right?
I'm searching my mind now trying to think if there's any more named Varun people, but
that's it.
It's coming up empty.
And that's a bummer, because they seem so freaking interesting.
They're going to be a DLC. There's no way Bethesda made, like, a very interesting faction and has all this stuff talking about how they've gone off somewhere else, but has, like, droplets of info and the few scattered characters that you're directed towards, like Andrasia and the person in the cells, like, in your playthrough with Constellation, which is the thing which points you towards everything. So, like, yeah, we're definitely getting a Varun DLC at some point. I feel like that's almost a certainty.
Yeah.
But,
it's really funny, too, that the only way to get rid of the serpent, what is the trait? The House Varun background trait?
The Serpent's whatever one.
The only
Serpent's
way that
Embrace.
the game... Yeah, Serpent's Embrace. The only way the game lets you get rid of it is just talking to the prisoner in New Atlantis. I'm like, that's silly. That's a silly way to do that. I don't... Jeez. More House Varun. Gosh dang it. Please.
Yeah. Because we were talking about DLC and stuff, I am curious, like, how DLC will interact with the New Game Plus system.
That's one of the things I did want to talk about too, actually. So good. Yeah. Good being on the same wavelength. Mind meld.
Yep.
Because ideally, how Fallout 4 did some things in the past, they went really hard on the settlement systems and the different things you can do with settlements. Some of it felt like a pretty big step back in Starfield in many ways. So even though I'm hoping that it's just standard updates for Outposts just to make them easier to do.
Yes. Just very quickly, I'll say, I feel all that Outposts need for them to be approachable is the basically workbench that Fallout 4 has, where it has just infinite storage, and if you can link them with something, that's all it will take for Outposts to go from, no, I don't want to try it, to, okay, I'll give it a go.
Yeah, on paper, it's really simple. So unified storage, that's literally all we need to make Outposts less convoluted.
Yeah.
And maybe, well, Outpost links also should be instant. Having ships travel back and forth is cool and all, but making them physically transport materials every 3 minutes, 3 real-time minutes, no, that is really obnoxious, and even sim-heavy games don't freaking do that. That's goofy. Anyway, what was I gonna freaking say? Oh yeah, permutations. Permutations for the systems that they marketed with and stuff like that, like the procedural points of interest and stuff like that. DLCs need to focus, I think, on those, adding more variety, or also implementing a algorithm of some kind to track what players are seeing too frequently, because that is a game killer for people. And
but I love running through the cryogenic research lab for the 100th time.
Oh, the worst one? That's the worst dungeon in the whole freaking game.
It's the one I get constantly.
I have gotten lost there so many gosh dang. I couldn't find the exit the first like 3 times I've been there. It's just like, go up this ice ramp that's colored like everything else. I'm like, okay.
I've got to have gone through it at least 20 times now, and there has not been a single time where I've flawlessly navigated through it.
That's it's awful that like they have that one breakable wall in it too. Like, make more of those in there at least, because it's gross how freaking long and labyrinthian, and also lack of local maps. Can't freaking figure out how to leave. Like, it's a stack of bullcrap upon bullcrap in that dungeon, and I'm angry at whoever designed that one, because the cryolabs is awful. Like, if you come across it in your playthroughs and you don't want to spend an ungodly amount of time trying to find the loot, just don't go into cryolabs.
I didn't expect you to have this strong a reaction to it.
No, that's the first time I was literally completely lost in Starfield. Like, 99% of the time I kind of had a gist of where I was going and stuff like that, but cryolabs were the worst. The worst. I didn't know I had all that in me, by the way, but like, you're welcome to whoever's listening. Cryolab's bad. I've never heard a good thing about that dungeon.
Yeah. What I think could be interesting with like DLC / New Game Plus / those procedural places is if the procedural areas, we got like a different kind of list of them for each New Game Plus. So let's say on the first go through, you get that basic cryolab. On the next New Game Plus, they're working with like some FEV style of thing and experimenting on animals in that same lab. The next one over, it's maybe the cryolab again, but it's actually operational. Like, I feel like that could be an interesting way, especially for making these locations they already have, but repurposing. Why can I not finish saying that word? Adapting them. Thank you, Caedo. Okay. In order to make them a bit more
immersioning. That's
immersioning,
right.
That's the one.
Yes.
Thank you.
Yep.
Mm-hmm. Doing something with that and with the DLC, because that would incentivize New Game Plus more if we knew we were actually going to go to different locations rather than the same ones again that we've already been to.
Yeah. Also, with the the elite enemy types, they don't have anything besides multiple health bars as far as I know.
I mean, they sometimes have better equipment, but that's because they literally get better equipment as their drop. Yeah.
Yeah. But if I recall correctly, in Fallout 4 and also 76, legendary enemies specifically were also made as part of that kind of event, which means they had some sort of cool, extra challenging modifier added to them. That would give them back, if you didn't kill them fast enough, that would give them back all of their health, and they would have some sort of modifier or buff that would go off. Something similar to that in New Game Plus, just to add some extra flavor to those units, because like they're all generic raider types at this point still. Just one has more health sometimes.
I mean, something they do have in 76 is the mutations, like for events and stuff.
That's actually where I was going with that, too.
Same wavelength, I'm just jumping through different points.
Yeah, so something along those lines that would, make enemies at least different in some way, like affecting the rate of fire, their movement speed, even like they're doing a lot of amp or something, like so they move really really fast across the screen.
I would
like,
love to see melee enemies that are actually something to worry about,
yeah,
rather than the enemies you laugh at as they sprint towards you when you shoot them in the face.
yeah. Or if we are going crazy with like going into New Game Plus multiple times, there could be points of interest with just a bunch of Starborn there, and they have all cool different powers that they can use as well. So you give them those same like melee and range and sniper and stuff like that roles, but they have powers on top of it. So that could make it a little bit more interesting than your standard like point of interest random raider type fare.
Definitely.
Also, something that Prey did with its Mooncrash DLC, because it had very roguelike elements in some of the places you were exploring, there were environmental hazards in these various different areas. I know that some facilities in Starfield do have those pipes that you can shoot and they spew flame or frost or whatever, or barrels and stuff like that. But what if it's some sort of constant threat? Like, what if you have an extra challenging point of interest, but it's got a constant corrosion effect where like your armor is melted basically, and you have a limited amount of time before you just die. But the loot is really good. So like some way to make those experiences a bit more interesting. If it's a cryolabs though, screw you, I'm not doing that. Like but like the research tower and stuff like that, like part of the fun in that one is like going to the terminal in there and finding the planet point of interest. Also the planet features that you can come across, those are pretty underused when it comes to like extra stuff that shows up there encounter wise. Do more of that. I mean, we'll still come across them even though we've probably discovered them before, because there's only so many. So also freaking landing ships and fighting ships and stuff like that, and boarding events, anything that involves boarding a ship, there needs to be more in that as well, I think. Besides just the potential for like low gravity if you take out the grav drive. That's basically it.
I mean, I'd love more zero-G locations to do fights and stuff in.
For sure.
In the future. But
yeah,
I feel like that's much more of a future DLC areas thing.
But something that keeps points of interest fresh, like being new points of interest, which are definitely wanted, but also something that keeps players engaged or on their toes at least a little bit. So you're not just going to generic point of interest number 5 and just shooting a bunch of pirates and a chest that has a downgrade. Great, good. Something.
I've just thought of a really cool variant for one of the times you go through New Game Plus. I'd love to see one where Terramorphs have just taken over everywhere.
Oh, dude.
Just, you like fly to New Atlantis, you land and there's no one at first, and you just walk through to the lodge and there's just like one Terramorph in there for you to fight straight away.
Yeah, and it's got all that organic goo on everything, like completely transforming all the cities. Oh, that'd be sick, dude. I'd be down. I'd live on a Zerg playthrough for a while. That'd be great.
There are cool things you can do with the variant universes and with New Game Plus. But the fact that it seems like it's always skewed to just be basically the same universe doesn't help things. Like, the variants are cool. I feel like that's a modifier which needs to happen more. And I don't know how many of them have been uncovered yet as well. I'm sure there's someone who's been through all the data and has found them all. I think
the wiki already has like all of them. I haven't looked at them much though, because that's still some of the surprises the game has for me still, and I'm just like, I want to discover that when it decides to freaking happen finally.
I went through it because I know I'm not interested in New Game Plus, honestly.
Okay. Yeah. That's one of the things
way they... I'm not going to spoil what they all are, but the way they've kind of phrased it, they're not they've not phrased it on the wiki as if, oh yeah, these are all of the variants. They've kind of left it open-ended, and I'm not sure if that's just them playing it safe in case they miss something or something else, but yeah, it'd be nice if there were more, and if they happened more frequently.
Yeah. And also, just make sure there's an algorithmic checklist, too, just to make sure there's no repeats. Like,
yeah.
Because points of interest is one thing, but a full New Game Plus, if you have the exact same new universe,
Yep.
that I really hope that there is some sort of blocker for that happening, because that would be really annoying. Be like, oh, I had this encounter once already that has, everybody's a pile of goo, and gosh darn it, everybody's a pile of goo again.
Yep. Just
that's not one of the things. This is what I made up on the fly. It's not. Yeah. I mean, it'd be funny, but
I feel like we can come up with some good New Game Plus universes, because like everyone's a pile of goo is like a good funny one. The Terramorph is like a good scary one. And I feel like you can lean into genres with different New Game Plus variants.
Yeah, well, also funny ones is something that Starfield actually kind of needs. I think is more comical sci-fi stuff, because there's really not that much.
Yeah, I feel like they're trying to avoid doing the Fallout wackiness, because Fallout is technically also a sci-fi game.
Yep,
I get that they want to have them distinct from each other.
Yeah, that's a move on their part for sure. But you can still be your
comedy can definitely be done.
You can still be your NASA punk space opera, whatever you want to call it, and still have entertaining characters. Because I don't even know if I can count funny characters on one hand.
New Game Plus where they're all Khajiit.
Dude, New Game Plus, but it's just the Skyrim opening.
Oh god. Oh no.
Alduin kills you and you just go through the Unity again.
Oh, that'd be man, I kind of want to edit that.
That'd be so funny.
Oh.
Or you get beheaded. Like, there's no dragons.
Oh.
It's like, that was just a dream. It's fine.
If I still have the footage of like the opening of Skyrim or something, I totally edit that right now. But yeah, that's
it's one of the things I like. Some spots I feel like the game takes itself way too seriously, and I just want there to be a bit more entertainingness.
Yeah, I feel like Barrett is kind of the comic relief character.
Him and
Definitely
Vasco.
Has some jokes and stuff. Yeah.
Vasco's like deadpan reporting type thing. It's pretty funny.
That works.
Especially with their interactions between each other.
If you have like Vasco as your main crew person and Barrett as your follower, then the game becomes a bit more lighthearted and a lot more comedy in it.
Yeah. And also, I still love Barrett a lot because he gives snacks. That's his thing. He gives you snacks. In a role playing sense, most of the time you don't care like what your companion gives you, because it's one thing every like few hours or whatever.
I mean, money's nice. I like it when they give me money.
Andrasia does give money. That is true.
Jessamine Griffin does as well.
Ooh,
yeah,
nice. I don't think I've gotten her yet, by the way.
She's Crimson Fleet one.
Oh wait, yes I have. My bad.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, she's quite good. She's like one of the standout non-constellation.
That's another guide I have to consider making too. Is the named crewmates?
Yeah, there's a lot of them.
There is. There's like 20.
So many.
And that might actually be a fun little undertaking too. Yeah, I love bringing Mathis along just so I can tell him to shut up.
Mathis is so much work to get as a follower.
He's so abrasive though, like at the very beginning of the Crimson Fleet. He's like,
he
hey,
sucks at the start.
We're gonna kill Delgado, okay? I'm like, what what? The leader of the Crimson Fleet, and you're already planning to usurp him in your training mission. Okay, dude. All right, man. Good lord. I don't know what they were trying to do with his character. Like, make him hateable immediately.
No, he's just incredibly self-centered. And and I kind of love it. We'll have to talk about the Crimson Fleet as a whole subject on different Pipcasts, but I do love how they didn't try to make them good guys.
Yeah.
Like, they are bad. They're bad, they're in it for themselves.
With Mathis in particular, it just felt like his whole dialogue was a conflict in the whole Locke section.
Yeah.
Where he was acting super, super apathetic whenever he was talking to Delgado.
Yeah.
Yeah, it felt weird. Like, he did care, he didn't care. Like, what am I supposed to feel? Anyway, what other New Game Plus stuff could there?
I don't think there's much more for us to talk about on it. I am still in my brain trying to come up with more variant universes that'd be fun.
Yeah.
They could add in.
And that's generally the thing that we would hope for, right? Is like,
yeah,
they gave us, incentive, at least to whatever degree, incentive to New Game Plus up to 10 times.
Yeah.
There needs to be more to the game to further incentivize that, because by the end you have powers that are serviceable at level 1, now at rank 10 for whatever reason. You have a suit that you probably will replace. You have a ship that you'll probably replace. You need probably a little bit more than that by New Game Plus 10 for all of your effort. Because
I do feel like right now the incentive is weighted more towards not New Game Plus rather than New Game Plus.
Yeah, just do a standard playthrough, and because when you get to the Unity, you can be like, no, I want to stay here.
Turn around, walk away.
Just walk away, because even as far as I know, systems levels are set. Like, they're not scaled up, so you'll still have to go to the far right side of the star map to really fight strong enemies.
Yeah.
And it's easier to do in a game you've already spent a lot of time in than New Game Plus. So, yeah, more incentives. That's probably the summarization of the whole topic. More incentives for New Game Plus. It's a good start, but there should be more than just becoming more of a god.
Yeah. I feel like it's probably worth most people going through it once. Step through the Unity one time, experience it, see the new Starborn dialogue and stuff. But then you've got the majority of the benefits of what New Game Plus provides without so much grinding to get the other bits you're missing.
That's my recommendation as well, is like once you get to the end of the game as you see fit, because again, like, it could be one of those things where you come back to a save like right before you go through the Unity, and then you can start your New Game Plus because you're like, I'm not quite done with this character, but I want to go through the story again. That's a great time to do that, because Bethesda games, we know this, they're cyclical. Like, every year or so, especially if you like Bethesda games, you're probably going to go back to it. And that is another option that we have now, that New Game Plus is a thing.
Yep.
But slamming through, getting all the artifacts and that stuff, skipping the main quest the majority of the time, super monotonous. If you're really committed to that, you got to have like a show or a podcast on the background, because like it's gonna be time consuming and boring.
I've been rewatching Brooklyn Nine-Nine while doing my grinding.
Yeah, exactly. And like, or you can listen to PIPCAST 3000. That's something you can listen to.
Yes, our stuff you should watch. Don't watch that television nonsense. Watch us. There we go. Good save, Caedo.
Sarge and I have a lot of playthroughs in our channels. If you want to catch up on the classic Fallouts, I did playthroughs on Fallout 1 and 2. And there's a stream archive of Fallout Tactics.
Yep.
Also, the XCOM War of the Chosen stream archive is still there. Like, that was a lot. That was a lot of time. I don't know if I recommend that one, actually. But it was fun when we did it. I think that's pretty much the topic, right?
That is.
I don't have much else to talk about New Game Plus. Do you want to hear from people in the comments? I'm sure they have lots of things to say about New Game Plus if they've gone through it once or 10 times. Nothing in between. Once or 10. That's how two different players, the two sides of the player coin of Starfield. I've been spending. No, I'll let you go first, Sarge. What have you done this last month that we haven't recorded?
Well,
can you remember that far back?
no, but I actually have on my desk a little day diary sort of thing which tells me what I've done, which is very useful. I've played Starfield. That's been
it.
most of it.
Okay, cool, awesome, great.
I'm actually going back, and I had a weird, like, manic depressive episode where I was looking for a second job for a while. Because I'm sure Caedo's in roughly the same boat with me here. Our Starfield videos, like, haven't done great. Like,
I've never had a video plateau as hard as my tips and tricks.
Yeah, it feels like getting that new audience that's here for Starfield is a bit of a challenge. I screwed myself over with a Let's Play, which tanked things for me.
Yeah, I think part of it is, like, well, the lack of new content for Starfield, because it's gonna jump again, but I think part of it is too is like there's been so many banger games this year that have completely overshadowed Starfield. Like, people spend their time with it, then they play Baldur's Gate 3 or go play Spider-Man 2 or freaking Lies of P. Like, there's so many flavors too. The Street Fighter 6 and Mortal Kombat 1 both came out this year, I believe. Like, niche,
there's been
of course,
a lot of
but
good games
like,
this
there's
year.
been a lot, dude. So, like, we're not short on choice for sure. So that's what I imagine happen is since there's nothing new really happening with Starfield right now, that's why all the algorithm is totally dropped off after so many weeks. I think it was like 4 weeks.
I mean, for me, I just need to find the people who are interested in Starfield, because YouTube is still trying to recommend my Starfield videos to Skyrim people. It's like, hey Sarge, you're a Skyrim channel, right? Well, let's send all your Starfield content to Skyrim people.
Yeah.
I'm like, no, YouTube, please stop.
Yeah. It's rough.
Yeah. But I have a ton of Skyrim... no, not Skyrim, bad Skyrim.
Skyfield?
I have a ton of Starfield content.
The Elder Stars.
At the very start of this month, I published my Ultimate Beginner's Guide for Starfield.
Yeah, you did. And I linked it directly to someone who was interested.
Nice. Yeah, if you're, like, not played the game yet, or have only just started and are a little unsure of what's going on, I went over, not everything, but everything you kind of need to know.
The basics, yeah.
Yeah, the video is slightly under half an hour. It was going to be about 45 minutes because I had an outpost section in, and I was just like, nah, I'm going to delete all of this. I was like, I'm not even going to mention outposts anymore.
Like,
it's just...
we're in the same boat there, I think, because, like, I really have that gut feeling that they're going to patch it in some way, and some of that information is not going to be accurate anymore.
Yeah.
That's why I've waited on the other outpost guides that I haven't done yet, is because I feel like there's something that's going to change.
No, I have made my guide very much to be kind of evergreen.
Yep.
And I'm going over basic stuff which shouldn't change.
And
I mean, a couple of things I'd like to, but... yeah.
Relatable, too, because making things evergreen nowadays is a bit more difficult than most people figure, because everything gets patched all the freaking time. I'm so mad about it.
But as well as Starfield content, which right now I'm focusing on character builds. Got my melee build coming out, or will have come out by the time this is out.
Stabby.
I've experimented a little bit with YouTube Shorts and TikToks. Learned how to edit them. Took me about 5 minutes to learn how to edit for YouTube Shorts and TikToks.
Are you role-playing one of the Zoomies, Sarge?
I mean...
Are you lit, fam? Are you the goat?
When was Zoomers born? Okay, depending on what source you go for, I might be a Zoomer.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I'm one of those annoying people born in, like, the mid-90s sort of range.
Oh, so you're like me. I'm an elder millennial.
So you might be an elder millennial. Oh,
yes, I'm on the upper end of the age bracket. So
yeah, I'm either the youngest of the millennials or the oldest of the Zoomers.
Nice.
That's where I like.
I want to call you younger millennial, just so I can be the grandpa in the situation. I don't know.
But yeah, I've posted a few YouTube Shorts and TikToks. I'm actually really happy with how good my Ronin TikTok/short looks. Like, I put a LUT over the footage. Yeah, that's actual editing there. You know, LUTs. LUTS.
I don't know what that means.
I'm gonna try and find what is a LUT.
I'm self-taught,
Also
Sarge. I
referred
don't know
to
editing
as
terms.
log normalization (LUTS). Speed LUTs quickly convert footage from a cinema camera's log color profiles to more standard color.
Ah.
Yeah, it's basically like quick color grading. But I've made
okay.
this footage look incredible, and I'm so happy with it. It looks so pretty, and I set the game timer to be a lot slower, so time was moving slowly. I did the recording with my controller, which has died again annoyingly.
Oh.
And then I sped it up in editing footage, and I redid the audio for it, and it's just a very pretty quick cinematic.
That sounds like some classic Caedo stuff you've been doing.
Yeah, I mean it's not like the full on I can't remember the name of it. It's not like full on.
Yeah, but it's
that makes sense.
You put extra effort into even the recording process.
Yeah.
Which I can definitely relate to.
Yeah.
It's fun little nugget back in the day, if I can share that a little bit. My computer was kind of trash. So when I recorded videos for Fallout 3 and Fallout New Vegas and Skyrim and stuff like that, so I would actually record at a slower gameplay speed. Like I would SGTM the global time multiplier thing. I would slow it down to like half or even like 1/10.
Oh god.
Just so I could speed it up in my editor and basically cheese the frame rate to make it look like better gameplay than it was. I did that so much. Unfortunately, I learned that the kill moves change your time multiplier, like automatically when they play. So like that, I just had to leave it as is.
Yeah.
But largely, if I was getting really cool cinematic stuff, I would very much do that kind of thing all the time because my computer was trash. Thankfully, I don't have that problem anymore. But yeah, when Caedo got started, there were a lot of situations where I recorded everything in slow-mo and sped it up in editing to make it look like a frame rate that's able to be watched.
I mean, I just sped mine up to be quicker slow-mo because I wanted things to go kind of fast. It also makes, because the camera moving is in real time, but the game's slowed down, it means I get these very kind of like speedy yet smooth panning shots.
Yeah,
it's kind of cool.
It's a good environment you're in too.
Yeah, I that took a long while to find. Like,
pretty sick, Sarge.
I'm on the roofs of Neon, right on the edge, so the rain actually falls down on me rather than being covered by the shielding. But I got a shot with the shielding being struck by lightning as I spin around the character. Which, yeah, looks pretty.
Would you be against me putting this in the B-roll?
Go for it.
Okay. Would you be able to send it to me? Too?
Yeah, I'll send you like the short and also
okay.
I can see some of the cinematics
so
as
people
well.
Can see if they're interested in what we're talking about, because like this is really getting into the like recording Bethesda footage tips and tricks that we do.
I mean, part of the reason I've been putting in the extra effort as well is because I figure if I am gonna get another job, like a second job on top of the YouTube thing, I'd rather not go back to just standard retail. Like, that wasn't fun.
Yeah, I don't wish that for you either, Sarge.
Yeah, like, everyone knows it's not fun already.
I think we've both done our time.
Yeah, so I figure maybe I'll get, like, some freelance editing jobs or something. That's something I could definitely do just to patch things over a bit. So,
yeah, or, you know, if you have, like, Securitas or something like that in your area, security, because security is...
I have considered
some of the easiest work in the world, dude. It's
yeah,
very, very good at promoting, you know, any of your side stuff that you want to do because you're largely sitting at a desk, doing nothing, looking at Reddit.
I would definitely be down for a job like that. Mm-hmm. I'm big and scary as well, so I feel like I'd be perfect for security.
Yeah, I forget that about you. You're like, you're tall. You're a taller dude.
I'm not that tall. Like, I'm technically under 6 foot, but this won't get demonetized. I've had, like, several of my friends tell me I look like a serial killer. Just apropos of nothing. Like, I give off very scary vibes in person.
Nice.
It doesn't come across over videos and stuff.
That's
and
the
I changed my
deterrent
voice for this,
factor
but
of security officers, and that's a valuable skill to have.
Yep. I loom. I'm big. I'm beardy. I always look angry. It's great.
Yeah.
Yeah. Editorial securities. The best
it is something I recommend, because for most people that want to do have a job but also have time to do the stuff they want to do, security was by far the easiest situation for me to do that, and allowed me to move on to full-time once my channel was set to do that. And depending on how things go for me too, by the way, my income is dropping pretty dramatically, and also medical expenses, because America.
Yes.
I might have to basically pick up where I left off, be like, hey Tammy, you want me back? Because it's the first job ever that I've left on good terms as well.
Oh, that's nice.
So
See, I left my old retail job on good terms, and now everyone who worked for us left as well, so it doesn't matter.
Oh, frick.
Yeah. I've been back to the store and no one recognizes me because we're all new people.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, fingers crossed for both of us that Starfield will pick up.
Yeah.
I think it's not even a case of we need Starfield to pick up so much as we need the people who enjoy Starfield to find our channels. Because I feel like there's been that many of the Elder Scrolls / Fallout community that's got fully engaged in Starfield. It seems that for a lot of people it's their first Bethesda game. Or
I think there's a divide on fantasy versus space sci-fi.
Yeah.
I feel like that's kind of always been there. Because people who, I guess Star Wars is kind of almost the middle ground, but if you go too far one direction, you got Star Trek. If you go too far the other direction, you have Tolkien's Lord of the Rings kind of stuff. They're very different from each other, and I imagine that's kind of similar to how these games are from Bethesda. It's everybody's got their vibe, and we definitely recognize that.
Yeah. I can openly admit I'm much more into fantasy than sci-fi, but sci-fi's still really cool.
Yeah, and I'm I guess post-apoc is sci-fi, but it's the more
it's a different vibe of it.
Grounded, brutal sci-fi than it is space. But yeah, everybody's got their thing.
Yep.
Yeah. You haven't been. Have you watched anything? Can I hear about your Korean soaps?
It's annoying. I know I haven't watched anything recently. Did I ever tell you about Behind Your Touch? Wait, is it Behind Your Touch or Behind My Touch? It's Behind Your Touch.
Is that appropriate for the podcast?
It's not. It's not as bad as it sounds. It's about a veterinarian who gains the power to see people's past memories and what they've seen by touching their butts.
That's sounds funny and or
it's
weird.
It very much leans into the comedy side of things.
Okay, I'm glad it's the funny direction.
Yeah, she gets it while she's there's a meteor storm while she's helping a sick cow out, and she's got her hand on the back of the cow, and it then means in the future she can see the past through their butts. And because she's a vet, she's checking dogs out and just touches the dog on the rear end and is the dog's run out of a hole in your fence, here's the exact location of that.
That's so
and people are just
weird.
you're crazy. It's very funny. It's good. It's got a 94% liked this show on Google users, 92% on Rotten Tomatoes. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm glad you had something, because it has been a month. I was assuming you watched something. Aside from Brooklyn Nine-Nine, we could just say Brooklyn Nine-Nine, really entertaining, so good.
Very good show. I've also been learning Korean. I don't know when that started, but
nice.
Yeah, I can read a fair bit of Hangul now.
That's cool.
Yeah,
better than I could do. I was refreshed on a little bit of Spanish when Kite was taking Spanish in school, and then we both forgot it simultaneously after the class was over.
Yay. I think I only learnt French in school, and I did speak French yesterday. My sister needed. She was trying to work out if it was pain au chocolat or pain au chocolat, which obviously it's the latter. But yeah,
I mean,
I got to do some of
obviously
that.
it's the latter.
It was quite funny hearing her go, "Is it pain au chocolat, babe?" So you never know. But yeah, that's. I've not been doing as much Korean stuff. I've been very focused on just getting the Starfield content out.
Mm-hmm.
But what have you been doing, Caedo? Because I only had 2 things on the list, and I talked for ages, and you've got like a dozen things here.
Yeah, I've been dreading this segue because I listed so many things while I was in bed too, for over the course of the last 3 weeks plus. So obviously Starfield kind of stopped. This was actually kind of a good hiatus for me too, just away from the game for a little bit, so I don't get burnt out on Starfield content, because that's very easy to do for what me and Sarge do too.
Yeah, I will say I am surprised that I've not had a feeling of burnout on the game yet.
That's good.
Like, I've been playing it basically every single day, and I've not felt like, oh god, I'm having to play Starfield again. I'm like, yeah, this is fine.
Yeah,
which is a good sign.
Yeah, just don't overdo it, and you're good. While I was spending a lot of time resting, I think even before I had my surgery, I saw the One Piece live action show was on Netflix, and I was like, well, I don't feel like I have the time to watch the entire anime. However, this is a slightly, what seems like, shortened version of the One Piece story in a live action format, and as someone who's not a One Piece aficionado, I thought it was kind of a fun watch. But at the same time, I know that the Monster Hunter movie exists, and people have watched that and not played the games, and there is so much wrong with the Monster Hunter movie compared to the games.
I mean, I've heard a lot of good things, even from One Piece fans, about the live action.
Oh, good.
Personally, the clips I've seen of the live action, I couldn't watch it, because if anything, it feels like it goes a bit too faithful towards the anime.
It's very goofy.
That leads to it being overly goofy.
Because Luffy is generally like overly ecstatic, really goofy oddball character as the main protag, which and props to the actor. I don't have his name, but props to the actor who did it too, because like he encompassed that energy that I recall from the short time I spent like watching One Piece and reading it and manga. And so that part was great, and also the main crew of characters like Nami and Zoro and the cook's name, I forgot his name. And the
I should know that.
Yeah, and the dude with the slingshot, I forgot both of them, and they all like had their moments of like developing their story and stuff like that too, which good shows usually do. And I was pretty captivated with all of their various melodrama going on. Alongside, the pirate lords, or I guess the pirate lords, whatever. All of them had their like splash screen too, which was really cool.
Yep.
Like their name came up and they had like really cool filters put over. It was just their wanted posters like went over the top of their faces, and it showed them their name, their bounty, whatever. That was cool. I'm glad they did that just to keep it in, the theming of the show. Just enjoyed it. Just a fun little watch. Also watched Castlevania Nocturne, which is a prequel, I believe, to the Castlevania anime on Netflix. Also enjoyed that. Can't tell you much about it because I forgot most of what I watched, but I remember enjoying it.
That's something then.
I did remember like young Richter Belmont, I think, is who it is. It's a young Belmont of some kind discovering his powers as a vampire hunter, and he becomes extremely powerful in a moment in one of the episodes, and it's really freaking cool. That's probably part of what they used for the trailer as well, because it is cool. It's like seeing Super Saiyan for the first time. It's pretty neat. I didn't write it down. I also watched Chainsaw Man with Kite.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, that's a fun. It's fun, really wild. I've been watching a lot of like wild, weird anime stuff.
Yeah.
Anyway, to things that I've been playing. I had a weird urge to play Final Fantasy 12, and I never played the Zodiac Age. So, but I didn't realize what I actually wanted until I was more than halfway through the game. I'm like, well, I've committed now. I have to finish the game. Is that like I have a lot of gripes about Final Fantasy 12, like probably more than any other Final Fantasy I've played, because the main character Vaughn sucks. He's like probably the worst, in my own experience, the worst protagonist of any Final Fantasy game, because he's not the main character. Like once you get going with the story, he's just a side dude that happens to be, you know, the dude you walk around as in towns. Otherwise you don't even have to have him in your party. Like because Ash and Bosch's main story, like that's it, and they're part of the world of Ivalice and stuff like that. Anyway, what drew me to Final Fantasy 12 is the license system, or the job system of that game, is where you can kind of finely tune how your characters want to be. But in 12, I forgot that you just kind of pick two classes. In Zodiac Age's case, you can pick two classes and then max out their boards, and then you're done. Then you have just kind of everything those classes can do. And that's not kind of really what I wanted. I thought I did. But there's no variation there then, because all you're doing is just filling in blocks on a board. It takes forever when you respec, by the way, because they all have an animation. So instead I picked up Final Fantasy Tactics War of the Lions, emulated it. I own a copy, so it's still kind of legit. And I've actually been playing that and enjoying that way more. And it's hilarious because Final Fantasy 12 systems are kind of a neutered version of Final Fantasy Tactics' systems, where you level up as, you know, Squire or Chemist. That's like the first class. And then they branch out to things like Knight, Dragoon, Black Mage, White Mage, Summoner. Totally fluid branching out leveling system. But the cool thing is, when you get to the command or abilities of those classes, basically all of the abilities are available no matter what class you're playing. So your primary ability is whatever is your class. So if you're White Mage, it's White Magic at the top. But your second ability, you can choose it from any class you've unlocked, and those abilities are now in that slot. Then you have a reaction ability, which can be from any class. It can be a counter, it can be auto potion, it can be anything like that. Then you have your passive, which is basically like poach, or nothing else really comes to mind. Poach is the one I use a lot.
Okay. Is poach a kind of steal?
Poach is if you kill a monster, you turn them into an item.
Okay, it's cool.
Yeah.
More of a blue mage sort of thing.
And then the final ability is your movement ability, which is, you know, anything related to movement. You can get like a move +1, move +2, move +3, treasure hunter, which sometimes you can find treasure on the ground in a specific square. You can get like ignore height, which means that you can just like, I want to go there, and you just hop like 15 stories up. Teleport. Rate of failure is higher depending on how far you try to teleport if you're outside of your movement. Like the amount of customization, as I'm trying to say, the amount of customization in Final Fantasy Tactics is bonkers and can be easily broken in the best way. And that's what I really wanted, I think, is figuring out, you know, what kind of optimal builds I would want, especially since I asked my buddies and my partner, like, what I put them in the game, and, you know, what kind of character do you want to be? And Daniel's like, oh, I want to be a freaking samurai. And I'm like, oh, you got it. You're a dual-wielding samurai now. Because ninja has dual wield. That's a passive too, by the way. You can put dual wield on the samurai. Now he's got 2 katanas. It's freaking awesome. then my buddy Jared Union, he was like, I want to be magic user of some kind of support. And I'm like, okay, you got it. You're an arithmetician. You can cast any magic depending on conditions is where the magic is cast. Like, it's the most ridiculous broken class in the game. Which is like mastering all the magic, and then you have, you know, everything. And then Kite wanted to be a dragon charmer of some kind, because that's a very Kite thing to do. So I made them an orator, which has speech skills. You can entice basically anyone to join your team unless they're a boss, including creatures. So you can, like, hey, tame a dragon, boom. The odds are pretty low most of the time, but yeah, tame dragon, bring it on your team. Bring it along on a fight and poach it later. Yeah, so basically what I'm saying is Final Fantasy Tactics aged extremely well. It's just got a really rough learning curve at the very beginning of the game. A really rough difficulty curve. Which may turn away some people, but if you are into tactical games of any kind, strongly recommend. Because yeah, thanks to its art style, like it did, and systems and stuff like that, everything just works really well. It just works.
Excellent. All right, quick fire on what other stuff you've
quick
been going through.
fire. It's Final Fantasy VII Ever Crisis. The Final Fantasy IX event just came out, and I told Sarge about it, and I'll probably record some stuff about it, because it's a gross free-to-play gacha game, and I hate all of the things surrounding it, but I wanted some of the first soldier story, so I started playing it when I was in bed. Vampire Survivors, that's just a good game. That's just a good, fun, short burst game with low commitment.
I actually played a little bit of it recently on my phone and didn't enjoy it. It's not as good on the phone as it is on, like, console with controller and stuff.
Yes, I agree.
Yeah.
But when I was in the office waiting for over half an hour, there's enough time for one run.
Yep.
So, and they have no internet, you know, easily accessible, because there's parking structure right next to the hospital, so, you know, no real signal. Anyway, I listed some uniques for potential, quote, uniques. Caedo's countdowns that I haven't done those in ages, so look out for that. But again, New Game Plus guide is the primary thing that is in the pipeline. I spent a lot of time just writing out details. The script is up to 5 pages, I think. Yeah, 5 pages, plus a little more. So but I think I have to voice the whole I need XP section still, and the I need more money contraband section, because those are the sections I considered just leaving out, but I'm just like, I have more time to write, whatever, I'll just write more, because I apparently had a lot to say about getting set up in New Game Plus, so now this is an all-encompassing, dare I say, ultimate guide on New Game Plus. But it's not going to be as long as most of my ultimate guides. I already know that. So that's what I've been doing and working on. Obviously, my healing is going well after the surgery, because I can sit here and record with Sarge, and that's what makes me the happiest, is being able to frickin' sit at my desk and do stuff again.
Yep.
Because I'll start to lose it for like 3 weeks of just staying in bed most of the day. It's awful. Don't recommend. But everything's better now. Still don't know what I'm doing about the rest of the B-roll, but I'll figure something out. Yeah, I guess we'll call it here. Tell us what you've been doing, and New Game Plus and all those things, and please watch our Starfield content, because it's we would like to do more.
Yep. Both of us want to stick with YouTube as a job, please.
Yes, very much so. And thank you to my supporters on the screen and stuff like that. And we hope to catch you in another 2 weeks on another PIPCAST 3000 every other Sunday, 10 a.m. Pacific. Thank you, and goodbye.